I don't know where to go with that. But why don't we do this for later? Why don't we do this? Put your hand on your leg here if you can, and make it kind of a claw. And I want you just to take your fingers in. Don't hurt yourself. I'm not telling you, but I want you to try to move your fingers as quickly as you can. Tap your fingers, but like push in a little bit more. So you're tapping. Push. There you go. Push. Okay. You're trying to just keep digging. Keep digging. If you're hurting your thigh, go to the other one. But I want you to keep digging. Okay. All right. Keep digging. All right. Good. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay. Your forearms are getting a little tight?
Yeah.
Your forearms tightening up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, wrist, okay. That's a real good massage over there. All right. Now we're just gonna change up and we're gonna tap. And just lighten up your hand and just tap. Okay. What happens is, you can all stop right now, but your performance was what with the second version with your tapping?
Easier.
It was easier, and the reps were better. Okay, that's what happens when we get stuck in the training mindset. That's like the training mindset. We're stuck and we're kind of paralyzed. We're not getting out of it, and everything is almost like your circuitry's jammed up, and you can feel it in your forearm, you can feel it in your wrist, and then sometimes you just let it go, and that's more of that trusting mindset we're coming up to soon. But so the great things that happen as a result of this is that we are going to make it happen. We're going to work on our weaknesses. We're going to improve. That's a training mindset. That's what we're doing. You develop a skill and you learn the fundamental, but then you're judging yourself. That's like the byproduct. That is the part where you're criticizing. We've talked about this before. You're analyzing. You're judging. And so we're always wanting to try harder, practice more, and we think about it more. So that's where this jammed up, mindset is. Now we're going to kind of flip forward to this active mind, tight body. Actually, your performance goes down, and then you get more frustrated, and then you want to try harder, and you want to work more. So this is the training mindset limitations. These are the challenges we have with the training mindset. Any questions on this? Because we're going to come to it's relative, the trusting mindset, and that's that automatic, it's instinctive, it's natural, and that's what we're trying to balance it out with. Notice it's on a balance, and we're trying to find at certain points you're going to be more tilted to that training mindset. That's okay. But now I have to trust myself. It's maybe in the beginning of a match. Everybody's kind of different in this room. I hear, just to use your experience, I think you have a lot of trust in yourself in these situations. You're not being critical. You just have to do it. You have to execute.
Well, I just wanted to be that girl.
Yeah, and so I'm confident I'm going to do it. It's more over here. Okay, so finding that balance and striking that balance. This is a great one to work with. I think we all can gain a little bit of awareness. Oh wait, I'm stuck over here. I'm in that training mindset, and you can feel it. It's heavy, just like that exercise. You're slowed down, and then sometimes in tennis and sport and life, whatever it may be, we get too relaxed. And so that's where you're up 5-1 or 5-2, 4-1, whatever scenario you want when you're up, and you go back and where did that go? What just happened? And that was because you didn't analyze and judge and criticize in an effective way. So when you analyze and judge and criticize, this is not where we want to be hard enough. This is where maybe can be a little hard, but be more effective. with your self-talk and your judgment. So striking that balance. Questions?
Can I ask you a question about the previous slide? Sorry.
Oh.
Because you talked about oh no, don't even go back. It's one for that. Something about working on your weaknesses. What about working on your strengths? And if that's something that comes later, we can.
Yeah, that's. So remember that ball? That's right in there as far as the effective thinking. Right now, just what I was hoping to supply you with today, this knowledge base, is some of these core concepts of optimal performers. And these are just some nice ways to, we can jump into a little bit more of, the growth mindset and, power poses and self-talk, whatever. I mean, there's learning from mistakes and we've learned from mistakes and setbacks, using that, those challenges. There's so much. But today I just wanted to provide this part, but you're at my lesson 2. Okay, that's my last slide. Okay, and this is probably my favorite slide. It's very simple. The self-fulfilling prophecy is right here. Your thoughts affect your performances, right? What I like to separate is, this piece in the beginning with athletes. Your thoughts and feelings, emotions are different. With athletes, I'll separate them out. That is a thought. That is not an emotion. You're talking about emotion. How did you get to the emotion? How did you get to the feeling? What was the thought that triggered this? That then triggered your physiology. That triggered your double faulting. Because you were tight here. Well, why did you get tight? Because I was frustrated with my partner. What did they do? Well, they said, they were not competitive. So there's an activating event that creates a thought, that creates a feeling or emotion that affects your physiology and your performance. And guess what? There's an arrow, and it goes all the way around and comes back. And so that's really, this feedback loop could be negative or it could be positive. And I work with a lot of individuals that we start off, and it's, we're working the negative feedback loop. We're going around, how do we stop it? And it really starts right here, and we kind of cut into here, open up, and what are your thoughts? Why did that happen? And when you're playing, maybe you can understand, well, my body, I started to get really tight, my breathing. You can pick up on your physiology. Or first you can go back to your performance, yes, and then I need to change my thoughts. Or your physiology, but it all comes back to, your thoughts. There is an activating event that creates these thoughts. I will really like these last 2 videos, and they'll illustrate a bunch of things regarding this concept, the training and trusting mindset, and maybe some of our self-talk. So, anyway.
Since I was a very small child, I remember watching birds opening their wings and flying, and I remember telling my aunt, I'm going to do that when I get older. And she looked at me and she's just like, Jim, that's impossible. If you think that something can't be done, there you go, it can't be done. But if you think that something can be done, then, as a human being, we're capable of figuring out how to make it possible.
Fear, doubt, worry, analysis.
I absolutely am scared of the things that I do. I'm not a superhuman. I'm just like everybody else. And when I'm afraid, it's like the thought of doing something is what's scary. That uncertainty, that questioning, should I do this? What could happen? What could go wrong? And what's really quite interesting is that sheer terror is right up until you step off. The instant you step off, you're no longer scared, You're in that moment. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow, there's only what's happening right this second. And the sensation, the feeling of becoming successful after being so scared and overcoming that fear, it brings you this sense of peace and fulfillment and happiness that I just can't describe.
Here's some common themes, that he's talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting. Stacy said this the other day with watching Nadal, and it kind of reminds me of this guy.
This is my brilliance.
Well, because this guy's the same as the surfer. They have to relentlessly focus because if not, they're going to die. Right? So there's some immediacy and some urgency.
Yeah.
It's a little different than on the tennis court. But what Stacy said the other day, and it's true. Take away all of Nadal's, isms, whatever OCD stuff. When he plays a point, it is like it's the last point he will ever play in his life. It is. He's so relentlessly focused to get through that point and literally plow through the guy on the other side, or whatever it is that he needs to. He plays every point that way. And so, all that stuff that happens in between is all a means to an end to that focus.
Yeah.
And so, so everything else gets turned off as soon as the ball gets thrown in the air or the circuit gets hit his way for him to be focused for that time. So, I don't know, something about that.
Yeah. I wish that urgency could happen more often with some of the competitors that I work with.
What are his thoughts then? What do you think his thoughts are?
No,
not him. Nadal's the thoughts during that.
Oh,
So
like
what
I think it's like that guy when he jumps off the cliff. Like when that guy's off the cliff, he is so focused on getting the job done and getting to the bottom and being focused that Rafa is the same way. That ball's in play, and it is like there is nothing else in the world happening.
So I had a chance to hang out with Mats Wilander. He comes up to our facility here and there, and he was so into that point, like you're talking about. It was so present to that point that nothing else mattered. Like this guy's talking about, and I think it's a skill that's been practiced, and that I think Masvidal kept on saying, I don't know. I was locked in I could safe to say I was locked in at every point. Whenever he went to the line, he was locked in. And I think locked in to be present moment to get to every ball to do something with that ball, or to do his plan, whatever it is. Have you ever talked to him? Yeah, I mean, if we're really talking about Nadal, I feel like my expert is right over here. So, have you ever had a conversation about him going the line? Okay.
What
All right.
do you think
It's a
about
common.
game
It's a
plan?
common that, as you said, the reason that they're focusing part.
All right. Do you mind if I turn this on you a little bit? What about when you're in surgery?
Well, that's the thing, I remember somebody was saying, how can you operate on somebody's back? You're cutting it, and we don't think about it's a human. It sounds bad, but you don't think about it's a human being under your hand. You're draping. I don't know if you've ever seen in movies, you drape. So you're really focusing on a 5x5 or 6x6 inch area, and everything else is you're not thinking about. You're not thinking about hearing the heartbeat, or that's not a heartbeat. You're focusing on what you're focusing. If you start thinking, and giving another example is if I don't know if you've seen in movies, ER quote, somebody's like all of a sudden the heart stops and everybody's running around and trying to revive this person. If you start thinking about the end or what's going to happen, or this person has a wife or a husband or a kid, you can't function. You got to focus on that moment, and it becomes sort of a muscle memory in tennis. In our mind, it becomes sort of a part of second nature, that when this happens, this is what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. You don't think about anything else. You don't, and that's how you can achieve getting somebody reviving at the end, think about, oh my God, that person could have died, but you don't think about those things.
And there's other people around you working with you, right? You have other to take care of certain areas.
Yeah, you're focusing on your task.
your
You don't
task.
think about other people's
And you're
tasks.
not worried about them.
No,
And
I mean, like when we were called in to intubate somebody, putting the breathing tube, you're just focusing on that part, not somebody else is getting IV access or somebody else is giving a drug. So you got to focus on that task, and it becomes so micromanagement that you don't think about anything else.
And when you look at Jeff Corrales, that's his name. If you want to look at wingsuit squirrel flying, I think it's called. He, right before that moment, you can see how calm, and it's going to the line. For some athletes, they'll go to the line and they'll be calm and present to that one simple thing. And that's what, my job right now, I think, in my work is to make things more simple. And in the past, I feel like I complicate things working with athletes, and it's really just to make things. There's like that one square that you're looking at, or not the other, people around the body, or not who's related, but it's really just that square, being present to that. And same thing in tennis. If that's your time, forget about the traffic. Forget about what you have to do later on in the day. It's right now, and that's in your routine. And you've done how many of those procedures before, and it's muscle memory. So let's take a little look at this video and see just the other side of this this thought performance interaction model. Just a quick video.
All right, it's going to be about 1 minute. 1 minute.
Before you know it, with a few bewildered spectators looking on, and our cameraman trailing behind, he's off and flying. Not long after, a little over a minute later, he's safely on the ground.
Yes! Oh, that was super nice. Oh, man.
My program has overcome fear. This place scared me. And now all of a sudden it's like, it doesn't scare me anymore. I'm not scared of Table Mountain. Table Mountain has now become my playground.
What?
Over the next few days, we saw more jumps. By our last day filming, of course, it all seemed almost routine.
3, 2, 1. Sit.
Truth is, there's really no such thing in this game.
So I do have another video. He's alive. He's alive and on Conan, and he talks about Tabletop Mountain becoming his playground. And he got too careless, too comfortable, too much in that trusting mindset, maybe focusing on too many distractions. And he did break his clavicle and his leg and his arm and all sorts of things, but I think he was jumping in 911. But maybe you were but so this is an example of. There's a training mindset that's really critical to our performances. So
one thing along these lines that I've been told that I thought was helpful is sometimes you think about this in a match, but in order to be good in doing it in a match, you need to be doing it all the time when you're playing with your friends and be social. You can't just expect it, okay, now I'm going to be focused because I have a match that matters. But the way to get there without trying is to be doing it all the time as you're playing. And just be blocking, no matter if you're playing live ball or anything else, to be focused on that moment. And that's practicing it, just like practicing your forehand.
Yes.
So that you don't even really have to do it when you play a match. It's just instinct. I think lots of the times we just focus on this in a match, and then it gives you something new to have to do.
I was gonna say, it seems to me that's where the routines come into play, is to build under that. So it's whatever it takes to clear your mind. I mean, I think about if you look at Federer and Nadal, Federer is not superstitious. plays very quickly without much routine. Nadal is very superstitious, long routine. But the bottom line is they seem to allow their minds to wander as they're resetting for however long it takes. But once they get up there, and whether it's Nadal doing his thing or Federer stepping to the line, they have cleared their mind to the task at hand.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that it seems like people find their own routines to try to get to that space.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Djokovic, but about 2.5
Yeah. And his is interesting, where he actually slow in the beginning when he's a little more nervous, he'll take his time. You know what he's doing? I didn't know this. Maybe some of you do know this, but he's trying to hit a specific spot. Djokovic. You know, if he hasn't hit the spot, or doesn't feel like he hit the spot yet, you know, he'll keep going.
But see, like Federer, I think he has routines. I think when I watch him, he definitely has routines.
Absolutely.
And I think he's just not as blatant with his superstitions. I think he has them. But what he has is like an incredible concentration. Like if you look at him after he hits a shot, his head is still down. He never looks to see where the ball is going. He knows where it's going. His head is down, which is what they always try to tell you. But people always are like, oh, did it go in?
Right. No.
So I think,
Yeah, he's got a great point of contact with the string and concentration. But you know, so he is taking as much stimuli. You know, his focus is I mean, he's hitting the sweet spot so much. You know,
I would say too, when people ask like you for advice on what should a routine be, one thing to do is if you have a favorite player, look at what their routines are
Absolutely.
and just mimic their routines.
Yeah.
It may or may not work for you, but if you set like if that's where you kind of you're going towards, just mimic their routines.
Yeah, no, it's so
And then you bring them on the
Except for
court with you,
Nadal.
too.
Don't do
And
Nadal.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, this is kind of it's so great to talk with you. I hope I don't know what the next steps are. I have some cards here that I can hand out. You know, it's interesting. I wasn't on the email for this. Was my email address on there?
No, you didn't. No, I didn't get it from Manny. Manny was the in between.
Oh, okay. All right. So what I can do is I can get blast
Have
out.
to dinner now.
Slides is right over here. Watch the train go over our heads.
Do you talk to other groups? I mean, do you make?
Well, if there's opponents in here that of course, yeah, I do. I check other groups.
Okay.
As well.
Tennis teams.
Yeah. So absolutely.
First, I want to thank Deb for organizing this. And of course, Peter for doing a great
I
performance
trust you
here.
to talk to him.
And everybody who's attended. Like anything, I've actually worked individually with Peter, not as much as I should.
That's true.
That's why I played this weekend the way I did. But it's hopefully this was a little bit of introduction of what performance, mental performance can help you on the court. And if you guys want to pursue this further, obviously Peter, you can through us contact Peter, and Peter has office hours here that you can work with him, and he's also at College Park at JTCC. You guys, I think most of you guys from around here, so this could be very convenient for you guys to come and see Peter. My goal as a physician and a passionate tennis player is having fun on the court is important, but also, what pros do is what Peter was talking about, mentally and also physically. I've worked with Melissa for a long time. Being fit physically is as important as mentally, and then helps you prevent any injury. And if you do have injury, try to address it quicker than not. I've seen people in my club that they're playing and it's hurting them, but they continue playing through it, or they start cutting back and coming to the court because something hurts them. And that's what we're here for, to help you guys through all that, getting you back on the court. There's so much that we can offer you guys, and don't be scared of seeking advice through us. And again, people like Melissa who does fitness, and Peter who does, mind fitness. And nutrition is another important thing. We talked to Debbie. Maybe we can set up some lecture on nutrition for you guys. I personally started working with a nutritionist, and it really helps physically to help you. And I think when physically you start feeling better, it helps you mentally, and then on the court. And that's really all the pros do. They don't just go and play the ball and hit the ball over and over again. They work on their physical, mental, nutrition, everything. And why not be like a pro?
Complicated place that we have to keep.
Then you can have more fun and enjoy it. Well, thank you again for coming. We have some brochures here for you guys.
Yeah, they're on the chairs.
Well.
And anybody that wants to go join us over to Clyde's for a drink, you're welcome. Cece and I are going. Are you really? My husband will go.